You're listening to Captain John Doe, real aviation stories told anonymously. Let's get into it.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Captain John Doe podcast.
I'm Mindy.
And I'm Kevin.
And we're excited to have you back on this lovely Wednesday. We are in the thick of December, mid-December. It's the holiday season. It's a great time of year.
It is, but is it a better time of year to be a aircraft sales broker, or would you say a worse time of year?
This year it is. I mean, I'm working my tail off, but Q4 is always the busiest time of year for aircraft sales throughout my entire 10 years of selling airplanes now. But this year, it's extra, it seems like. One, just because of my experience now in the field, having a book of business, but also bonus depreciation is back, which is 100% bonus depreciation that you can take to, when you buy an airplane. And I've been getting a lot of calls at the end of this year of people wanting to utilize that for their tax purposes.
A lot of calls. Getting your ear right now is really, really difficult.
It's funny. I had my own personal tax meeting today with my CPA, and she told me a staggering number that I was going to owe in taxes this year, which is great. Great problem to have. And painful, but great. And I was like, so, is there any type of business equipment I can purchase to lower this tax bill? And I was praying she was going to tell me to buy an airplane, but she didn't.
Not this year. Not this year. But that would be great, because what you're kind of talking about, this depreciation, is why Q4 for really any industry is always just off the rails. I don't understand it. We are not there in our walk of life yet to understand why it takes 12 months to realize, oh, I need to buy an asset.
Well, you have to know how much. I do realize.
I don't.
Okay, well, I'll educate you.
I don't.
Because you don't know how much money you made until it's the end of the year.
I made none this year.
And then you have a meeting like I did today, and she says, you owe this crazy amount of money to Uncle Sam. And you're like, what?
What?
No. And you start crying a little. They're like, wait, don't cry. Go buy an airplane. That's how it happens.
Are we going to have that problem?
I hope so. That means we made it.
We don't have that problem yet.
Yeah. So, no, that's all been really good. So, I was thinking about that, though. I think we've asked for this topic before. Would love for people to submit buying and selling topics of stories that you submit to at captainjohndoe.com. It's anonymous. If you go on, you could submit your story. That's the whole shtick of this show. We read anonymous stories. So submit yours there and be a part of our show. We'd love to have you a part of it.
Absolutely. I see it all the time. I'm on every Facebook group. You know that. And there's always these pretty crazy stories.
Drama.
About buying or selling airplanes.
Drama.
Let's hear about it. We know that is no walk in the park. That's why you have a job, right? But as always, you guys are the reason this podcast is still moving. So like, subscribe, leave a review. Mindy was just sharing with me that the social media page alone got nearly 400,000 views in November. How crazy is that? I don't know if it's us or you guys listening, but let's keep this train rolling. So with that, leave a review. We're going to read them on the podcast.
Let's
so what do you got?
Right now, I got you. Okay. This is a fun username at user917. A fun review of the aviation world and everyday life in aviation told by a dynamic wife and husband team who are impressive pilots on different professional journeys of their own that are good storytellers. Thank you. I appreciate this 5-star review. Me and Kevin are on our own journeys, and we bring such different perspective to aviation in general. We have conversations all day long about how we see things differently. So here's the next one, Kev. At Yellow
RV said, every Wednesday, I'm always waiting to hear the new episodes. I love all these stories. Hilarious. Even better when you hear your own story, you submit it.
Oh,
Died laughing hearing it read back to me by Kevin. Well, thank you, Yellow RV. We appreciate your anonymous submission.
I wonder what story.
I know. Probably a poop or a drug story, right?
You know what's funny is I anticipated that when we had this show and it was anonymous, I thought that as we had episodes come out where listeners submitted their story, that they would be messaging me or you or the podcast being like, oh my God, this is my story. Everyone keeps it airtight.
Anonymous podcast, sweetheart.
I know, but I thought people wouldn't be able to help themselves and be like, this was my story.
I know no one has come forward yet.
And don't. Like, no. I kind of love that it's anonymous. The only ones that we know are we have some friends that submitted stories and they
did tell us.
They couldn't help themselves.
Yeah, but I love it. I want to just keep on guessing.
Well, we have a fantastic show lined up for you guys today, so we are going to get right into it because we've got a lot. We're going to have 3 stories for you today, and so a little bit of extras. So let's get into it.
All right. The first story, the headline is called Yips. Just when you think you've mastered the delicate art of a smooth landing, the universe decides to throw you a curveball. Enter the Yips. That pesky little gremlin that can drive any pilot to the brink of madness. You know you've got the Yips when your landings start resembling a game of hopscotch, bouncing in like the rubber ball or slamming down like you're trying to park a tank. And if you find yourself veering off a centerline, accidentally locking the brakes, and spiraling into a ground loop, congrats! You officially earned your gold membership in the Yips Club. The Yips are notorious for causing a sudden loss of skill, particularly in activities that require fine motor control such as golf or basketball or flying. It's like your brain decides to take a vacation while your hands are left to fend for themselves. My uncle caught the Yips in a tail dragger. For the rest of his flying career, he managed to only carrier landings in the tail dragger, but without a tail hook. My uncle survived. Mindy conquers. And you?
Wait, what? Am I in this story?
You are.
Is this story about me?
Shh, let me finish.
I'm so scared right now.
You'll write your legend one flight at a time. My uncle survived his flying yips and died of old age in his easy chair. In most cases, yips are not fatal. I was once taught that the yips were always associated with performance anxiety. However, it now appears that some people experience the yips due to neurological disorder that affects specific muscles. This condition is known as focal dystonia, and it can affect older and high-time pilots. While there's no magic cure, here are some strategies to help you manage and potentially kick those yips to the curb. Visualize yourself executing that perfect landing. Picture it in your mind, smooth, steady, and utterly flawless. Imagine a stabilized approach on final, followed by a graceful flare and the satisfying chirp of the tires kissing the pavement. Imagine you're Mindy Lindheim.
What?
My grandfather used to joke that any landing you can walk away from was a good landing. If that's your benchmark, I can't. If that's your benchmark, you have the yips.
I am blushing. What is this?
If your plan lands like a brick, it might be time for a serious talk with your wallet. Consider selling that plane and hiring Mindy to find you a more suitable aircraft that's easier to land. I swear we didn't write this. Some airplanes come with a parachute. Others have a red button that you push to auto-land the aircraft. Sorry, neither of those technologies is a cure for the yips. If you don't have a sports psychologist, grab a bourbon and sit down with your favorite instructor, like Kevin, and talk it over.
Ooh, you got a shout out.
Sometimes a friendly chat over a drink can work wonders for those mental blocks. They produce different bourbons and whiskeys for different yips. For instance, you might try Maker's Mark for landing long, or Bullet for a loss of airspeed control. Depending on your particular yips, Kevin and Mindy can prescribe the appropriate beverage. Also, it wouldn't hurt to spend time with Kevin in the air, going back to the basic airmanships. Flying is no easy feat, but an aviatrix like Mindy makes it look effortless. For the rest of us, the yips are lurking menace, always ready to embarrass us at the most inopportune moments. So buckle up and keep your sense of humor handy. You never know when the yips will strike.
What? I am blushing and confused. Who wrote this?
I don't know, but that was awesome. It almost was like just an homage to your flying skills, and apparently I am an awesome instructor, which thank you. Awesome writing too. I couldn't even keep going through that. The yips, I love the yips. So
No, you don't.
I say that because I'm going to be a little vulnerable. No, we're not going to say that word.
Yeah, you are. Try again.
Vulnerable.
There we go. Slow it down.
So, for my friends that know me, I played baseball my whole life. I was fortunate that my father spent all of his hard work on making sure I had all the tools at my accessibility, and I got a scholarship. I played in college. I got drafted, the whole 9 yards.
Wow, you want to just drop that? Wow, Kev.
Here's the reality.
Look who's fishing for compliments.
Here's the reality.
Don't ignore me.
Little 18-year-old Kev shows up to campus as a freshman in college with the largest scholarship on the team.
The largest ego on the team.
And expected to be, one of the best pitchers and hit.
I like how you continue to ignore me.
And guess what little Kevin got? Little Kevin got the freaking yips. Mm-hmm. I got the yips.
Describe what that is for people that may not know. This person in the story described it a little bit, but describe it specifically on how it affected you in baseball.
Your brain and your motor skills are no longer attached to each other. You literally cannot function.
But only at that specific activity. It's
Correct.
not like you can't physically take a drink of water.
Correct. It was such a mental block that it felt at the time irreversible. I could not throw the baseball and hit the side of a barn if I was 50 feet away. Woof. And I was the freshman with the biggest scholarship on the team, hoping that they would pitch me. So I'm very, very familiar with the yips. And to keep going with this story, I had the yips so bad I lost my scholarship. And I had to move schools because they told me, what are you going to do for us anymore? And the reason I don't have a problem sharing the yips is because what ended up happening is somehow I go from this big bag ego playing D1 to go somehow to Embry-Riddle and fall into aviation and fall into Mindy. And we're sitting here today, and now I have an awesome life, and I'm on my second career because I got the stupid yips. How crazy is that?
It is pretty crazy. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So did you know or ever think that you could get the yips flying?
I see it for sure with my students, but
students are learning.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would classify that as the yips. I
think so.
I feel like the yips happen to people who know something really well and then regress, not a student learning.
Okay, that's probably fair. Yeah. I mean, if you're a sports fan, you can see it happening mostly with, like you said, basketball, baseball, golf. And those people you're seeing it are at the top of their game.
Yeah, you wouldn't classify the yips with someone learning. You're like, oh, they're just learning.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to have bad days learning. But I think the yips is most described as people who are so dialed in that are the best of their craft and then just get this mental block and lose it.
I definitely think in aviation specifically, if you come in and have a little bit of a bad landing.
That's not the yips.
No, but the next landing, you might be thinking about it, and it's a bad landing again. The yips don't just happen overnight. It's a little domino effect, and then you have another bad landing, and then you have another bad landing. Now you're thinking the whole time about your landing while you're flying the airplane. That's probably what's happening. So from the day before they're thinking about flying to while they're taking off and cruising, they're only thinking about that landing, and it's in their head, and that's creating that yips.
Never thought about it towards airplane stuff. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen someone have the proper yips in airplane world. I've seen people, including myself, have bad landings, but not.
I've never seen that.
Not to
And
the
I'm not
flamingos.
saying that would be nice.
Well, that sounds really nice.
Anyways, to wrap this up, you can work through it.
Oh, I'm not
because-
done with this story.
We're not done?
No, because they brought up bourbon.
Oh. Okay.
They knew. Whoever this is knows us really well and knows that they opened up a can of worms by starting to talk about bourbon. Because I love bourbon. I collect bourbon. A lot of people know that. Huge bourbon fan. So for them prescribing bourbon to cure the disease of the yips is on par for me and my personality.
What would you prescribe them?
I think it needs to be something elegant and refined. It needs to not be bottom shelf. We need high-end, luxury, smooth caramel, yummy bourbon to really fix this awful disease.
Awful. Like some entrapment?
Yeah, I like entrapment. That's very specific. Probably no one knows what you're talking about. That is an orphan barrel. Orphan barrel is a line of bourbon that's kind of hard to get your hands on. I love the orphan barrel. It's kind of because the story behind it, which if I vaguely remember enough, is that I forget what distillery acquired it. I know that George Dickel does the bottling for it, but they're quite expensive. And apparently in this distillery, they came across these orphaned barrels, these barrels that were not labeled. They knew how long that they were aging for, but they didn't know what they were. And I don't know.
Well,
so they turned them into the orphan barrels, and it means that they're not replaceable. So like once that barrel is sold and gone, then you can't replace it. They're not making them anymore.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about it. We should at least shout out our friends Bourbon, Brothers Bond.
Brothers Bond.
Because we do actually
That'll
love that.
cure it.
That'll cure it. So if you guys haven't tried Brothers Bond yet, go out and get it.
I have a few prescriptions I can offer.
Yeah.
Brothers Bond bourbon, love, great price point, perfect to cure your flying yips. Our friends over at Flair Bourbon, you land every flight with a good flair.
I
That's
think
their
that is
tagline. Love
probably
it.
going to be a great cure.
Also, I do own a bottle of it. I have owned it, tasted it, love it. I am really into Penelope lately. I love Penelope. There's a lot of different kinds of Penelope. I can go on and on. I have, should I say how many bottles I have?
You don't even know.
I think I have 90 something bottles.
She said 90, by the way. That was 90, not 9. 90 bottles. And they travel with us, if you were wondering. They travel with us. We had to get nearly an extra pod when we moved from Orlando to Vegas just to hold our freaking liquor.
Yeah.
We didn't say that out loud, right?
So, anyways. Okay, well, thank you for that write-in.
Thanks for bringing back old memories.
Old bad memories
Bad
for you.
memories.
Two little things for you guys real quick before I get into my story. One is last episode, we announced that we are giving away merch with the reviews. How you enter that to win free Captain John Doe merch is leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, whatever platform you're on, leave a review, send us a message to the Captain John Doe podcast Instagram account. You just go on there, send a message saying, hey, I left a review, and you will be entered in to win the free merch.
5 stars only, by the way.
Yeah, we can't bribe people. We're bribing them to make a review, but we can't tell them what to say. Hopefully it's a good review. But we'd love to start handing out some of this merch. We have t-shirts and bags and stickers and some really great stuff that we're going to be sending out. We have committed to picking at least one winner per month from now through all of 2026.
Exciting.
Yeah. So the very first drawing is going to be at the end of this month in December. And once you enter to win merch by sending us a message to the Instagram account, you are in it for the long run. So as long as we're going to be picking out winners, you will be on the list to win. So be sure to leave a review, send us a message, let us know, and we much appreciate it. Housekeeping item number 2. We are excited to announce that this episode is brought to you by Airplane Academy Private Pilot Flashcards. This is our friend Charlie at Airplane Academy. You guys may know him from YouTube. I have filmed with him. He makes really awesome content, so go check out all of that. But in particular, he has these flashcards that he is selling online. They are private pilot flashcards, and they're color-coded for each category that you want to get familiar with. There's over 350 flashcards in this set, and it's really great for preparing for your written tests, for check rides, flight reviews, or even just if you're a pilot and you're like, man, I haven't reviewed stuff in a long time. This is a great way to do it.
So I personally use these every single week with all of my students because I highly recommend both students and instructors have access to these flashcards because it makes the prep work from an instructor point of view so much more easy. And then from the student point of view, they also love it because it has the question, it has the regulation, it has the answer on it. So they're going to be looking at the flashcards, taking notes, taking pictures. Like it really helps. And I actively use these every single week. And I ask all my students after that lesson, did we like the flashcards? And every single one of them says, yes, can we keep doing it? And that is real.
It's almost like a fun game.
That's real.
You've had it for, 3 or 4 months now, at least?
Yeah.
So if you guys are interested in learning more about them and purchasing them for yourself, they also make great holiday gifts for the student pilots in your life. Go to airplaneacademy.com/John Doe. Okay, it is my time for a story. Here we go. While I have plenty stories of my own, this story isn't mine, but my dad's. He's been flying jets all around the world since before I was born, and of all of his tales, this one has always been my favorite. Back in the late 90s, he was a junior first officer on the mighty 727, flying the go-home leg out of New York. His captain that day, let's call him Captain Wonderful, was a seasoned old-timer nearing retirement. Captain Wonderful had spent most of his career in a very different era of aviation, back when the captain was God Almighty in the cockpit, and crew resource management basically meant, yes, sir, whatever you say, sir. On this particular flight, Captain Wonderful was the pilot flying, and he was clearly very eager to get home. After departure, they cleaned up the jet, switched to the departure frequency, and my dad checked in. New York departure confirmed their procedure and added a speed restriction. Maintain 250 knots until advised. Simple enough. Except Dad glanced over and noticed that Captain Wonderful had eased the nose down and was happily accelerating towards 300 knots, below 10,000 feet. A few seconds later, ATC came back. Continental 123 confirmed assigned 250 knots. Dad says, affirmative, 250 knots. Meanwhile, he's shooting Captain Wonderful the kind of side eye that says, hey, boss, you hear this? But Captain Wonderful didn't budge. He just wanted to go home. Traffic and rules be damned. Moments later, ATC called again. Continental 123, say airspeed. Busted. Dad turned to Captain Wonderful, waiting for him to fess up. Instead, Captain Wonderful growled, tell him we're doing 250. So Dad, keeping a straight face, keyed the mic and calmly replied, departure? The captain says we're doing 250. Now, I can't repeat exactly what was said in the cockpit after that, but let's just say Captain Wonderful was not amused. What I can tell you is that the old 727 suddenly shot skyward like a homesick bottle rocket as Captain Wonderful began to bleed off all that extra airspeed. I'm pretty sure they set some sort of unofficial climb record through 10,000 feet that day. And yep, Dad was grinning ear to ear the whole way up. The moral of the story, even captains get humbled if not careful. And number 2, when flying with a Captain Wonderful, there's always the option C. You don't have to blindly ride along with someone else's bad decisions. Stay safe, keep the blue side up, and for the love of all things jet-powered, don't make your first officer rat you out on air.
Awesome story. I love it. This is the type of things we want to know. The 250 knot rule, probably top 3 most busted things, we would say, right?
Probably, but not usually on climb out.
Not on climb out.
It's usually on the descend in that people, have a little oopsie around 10K. But this one, they made it easy. They assigned 250 knots. It's not even just memorizing the rule, which is pretty easy, but departure assigned 250 knots till further notice.
So how would you deal with that now?
I like what this guy did.
Yeah, I do too, because things were different back then, right? I mean, the captain was the captain.
Is it much different now?
I think there's some difference. I don't know. I've never been in a crewed environment, so I'm not quite sure. But the way I understand it, and you guys out there listening, send us some messages. If 20 years ago, the captain was the judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah.
But now I feel like the first officer gets some sort of input.
That is true. I do know that in the past they would tell, and probably, I just think it still happens now. They tell the first officer, you better sit on your hands. You sit there and do nothing.
I will say, I have heard that phrase, the captain says. I think that's a really awesome little
so snarky. That is so snarky.
So snarky.
The captain says we're doing 250 knots.
That's perfect. Perfect. And he didn't lie, because that's what the captain said, right? Mm-hmm. So on ATC side of things, they don't see indicated airspeed. So when they assign you a speed, it's indicated. So 250 knots, but your ground speed is what's on the radar display from the controller side. So I've always been asked this question: how do you know how fast we are? It's as simple as just looking at the airplane in front of you.
Yeah, what are the other jets doing?
What are they doing? Because if you gave 250 knots to the guy in front of you and they're doing 300 over the ground and you're doing 350 over the ground, something not right.
Yeah. So, okay, Mr. Kevin, who's applying to airline jobs and passed his interview with flying colors, here's your interview question of the day. When you are flying with a difficult captain and you see something unsafe, what do you do? How do you deal with, maybe not even unsafe, just how do you deal with a difficult personality in the cockpit?
I would try to use my personality to kind of smooth that situation over.
And what if they're like, Kevin, you're annoying, shut up?
I think that would be fine as long as we were operating safely. Because at the end of the day, the captain is still the judge, jury, and executioner. So the FO's job is to assist in the safety of flight. So if in your little interview question, if what the captain's doing is not unsafe, I'm going to mind my place.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, my answer is, as an FO in a workplace like this, I'm going to morph to each cockpit. Some days I might be bubbly, giggly Mindy, and we're chatting and we're getting along. And then some days I might notice that captain does not want to talk, and I am very quiet, look out the window Mindy. And I'm just going to morph to my captain's personality to make sure there's as minimal friction as possible.
I'm a big proponent, and this goes back to all my experience as a controller and as a baseball player. Just do your job. So whatever that job is, that's what you should be doing. So if
you're asking for a lot of people don't just do the
I'm
job.
just saying, if something falls outside of that scope and safety is an issue, I'm not going to sit silent. There's no way.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I'm just going to do my job. That's what I would say. Period.
Yeah. I mean, we all have to work with people we don't want to work with sometimes.
Yeah.
That's the reality of the world. So you're not always going to be working with someone. And the reason why people bring this up all the time, though, is because you are in a small, confined environment, right? So that does make the stakes higher on personality clashes.
To be fair, this was pretty much asked on my airline interview. Like a scenario like this where you have to kind of insert yourself into a situation with your captain, and how will you handle that?
Yeah.
There's probably no right answer to that question. I like your morphing phrase.
Yeah, you got to be the chameleon.
Chameleon.
Well, we have one more story for you guys. We have been crushing through submissions, and we've been getting so many lately. It makes me so happy. But me and Kevin lately have been each picking one's story But I wanted to bring you guys a third one today, so I figured I would just hop on Reddit and find something interesting. I'll be honest, I haven't read this story. I've only read the title. Kevin, no phones in the podcast room.
No phones.
So we'll see how this story goes. But if you guys remember from a long time ago, there are threads on Reddit called Am I the Asshole? And basically, people post stories on Reddit, which is an online like social media type of platform. And then the commenters all judge and decide if they are, in fact, the asshole in this story or not. So I really like these. I think they're kind of funny. And people put themselves out
Asshole.
to be judged.
That's the answer.
Oh, interesting. I can give away. Should I give away what the people say?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Am I the asshole for shutting down our friends for complaining that my husband and I won't let them use our jets for a party?
What?
What a first world problem.
What? Okay, I'm interested.
Me too. Okay. I don't even know where this is going either. My husband and I own and manage several aircraft. We have a number of generous clients, and it's not unusual for some of our regulars to extend the offer for our kids or our friends to accompany us on trips. As a result, we've been able to treat quite a few people in our circle to a few days here and there or a weekend to some great destinations. Obviously, as these flights are on our clients' dimes, we don't charge our friends for anything. They spend what they want on food or lodging or whatever. Unfortunately, this has caused some expectations from some of our acquaintances. One of our friends is turning 50 later this summer. He and his wife have asked us to have his party at our hangar. That part isn't a problem. It's honestly a great venue for a get-together. A huge indoor space, outdoor space and a lawn, a full kitchen, etc. The problem is in that taking with his wife over a Zoom cocktail hour a few weeks ago, she was chatting as if she assumed the guests would have access to the jets as well for photos, tours, and whatnot, and how much fun it was going to be for everyone to get flights over the city. I didn't think it was the time nor place to shut her down completely, but I made a few light comments about those things blowing up the budget, not only for his birthday, but for the next decade's worth of birthdays, and changed the subject to something else. When it became clear that she wasn't joking, I left it alone for the call, but contacted her the next day and explained that we were not planning on letting people go through the jets. They're a lot more expensive than your living room sofa if someone pitches their drink on the interior, and the cost associated to fly them is also probably more than what she and her husband want to spend. The hourly cost on the one she wanted to is close to $1,700 per hour. She wasn't rude about it necessarily, but she was touchy and suggested in a number of different less than subtle ways that I was exaggerating the cost of the airplanes.
That's funny.
After a little more conversation, I thought we left the situation on the same page. But then a number of friends have been telling me that she's suggesting my husband and I are just being weird about the airplanes and that we're using the money as an excuse, and she and her husband could obviously pay for what they want. After a number of people hinted that she had brought it up to them, I finally got tired of it and said to the last person who passed on her comments that if she wanted to pay the nearly $2,000 per hour it would be to lease the airplanes for a 5 or 6 hour party, we would happily take the money. Now she's upset I was calling her out to our circle of friends and that if they don't have the jets flying at the party, it would make them look like they can't afford it. She says she was just saying we are particular about our planes, so there was a reason that their friends wouldn't get the plane rides and that they were promised. So am I the asshole for speaking up?
Okay. For the first time ever, I don't think you're the asshole. And here's why. This scenario, this is a very more overzealous scenario of using jets, but people, no fault to their own, don't truly understand how much it costs to fly airplanes.
And by the way, this was several years ago that this was came up. This is not.
I mean, a $2,000 hour jet is, at most a very, 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 very light jet.
And old.
No shade. We don't have a jet. But anyways, my point is like people don't understand which no fault to their own, how much it costs to operate airplanes.
People either think it's way cheaper than it is or way more expensive.
Correct. There's no in between. So I think what she did was what we would have done. I mean, imagine we own these jets. Our first inclination is always a firm no. That just doesn't even make sense to have jets flying during a party.
But she assumed that people would get jet rides, which is insane.
So then to finish it off, like, all right, it's $2,000 an hour. That's what it costs. We're not funding this for you. I don't think that's an asshole thing to say at all. In what world is that calling someone's ego out? You know?
Yeah.
Like if I'm asking our friends that have jets to use their jet.
Can you imagine?
I can't imagine. But if I did, I probably would have the assumption that there would be a significant cost associated with it.
Right. But
still
also,
unknown.
Then I have another thought that's the party planner, party host in me of if you're having, let's say they're having 50 people at this birthday party, not everyone can fit on the jet. So they're going to do multiple rides. They're just going to go up and down in a jet. Like, just the logistics and splitting up the party doesn't even make sense.
I wish we had this problem of this lady who thinks she's getting
We
free
do
jet
have this
rides.
problem because we don't have money to pay for this shit either. Neither does she. We're in the same boat.
Anyways,
We're just not delusional.
she's not the asshole. Somehow not the asshole. Let's just put this out there. If you come to me and say, hey, Kevin, we want to use your airplane for whatever reason,
Illegal.
probably not going to say yes. Illegal. Illegal.
Illegal.
Illegal. Why is it illegal, Mindy?
It's illegal.
Illegal.
It's called holding out.
Holding out.
Those might not be in the flashcards.
No, they probably are in the flashcards.
Actually, maybe.
They're definitely in the
holding out
flashcards.
is such a topic of commercial, but I guess it does touch on it in private on what you can and can't do.
To a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will say, though, that hangar parties are the best parties. So I like the idea of, you know, pouring some champagne next to a private jet.
Yes.
But to assume you're getting used to the jets just makes me laugh. It just also quickly reminds me of how you said people just don't understand aviation. I worked for an aircraft manufacturer for several years, and we would bring brand new airplanes to air shows, have them on display. I was the poor soul that would get stuck under the wing of a Cessna 182 or 206 and have to be like, hi, this is a 206. It goes 170 knots all day long. And when we call Gen Pop coming in, aka non-aviators, into the air show, which is normally the weekend days at Oshkosh and Sun and Fun, and the amount of people, especially parents, that let their kids just run wild through these air shows, we would see kids getting up on the tails of the plane and trying to sit on them. On the low wings, they would get up on the parents would help the kids onto the wings, and the kids would literally be jumping up and down on the wings. They would just throw them in the cockpit, and like before, I'm like running to the cockpit, like slow motion, no. And they would just throw their kids in the cockpit, and immediately the kids are yanking and banking on the yoke, like chuk, chuk, chuk. And always my line when I go up, because I try to be nice, is, hey, this is a real airplane and I have to fly it home later today, and I need it to be safe for me to fly. Like we can't touch the controls, and we can't be that hard on the controls or whatever that is. But the amount of parents that would let the kids do this stuff, mind blowing, because it's hilarious. However, if those same parents took the kids around Lamborghinis, they'd be like, oh no, honey, don't touch that. That's an expensive car.
It is a weird point.
That's a fraction of the cost of this airplane, lady.
It is a weird point.
But people look at a Lamborghini and go, oh my God, that's an expensive car. Don't even get near it. Don't touch it.
It is a crazy thing because the knowledge of airplanes versus anything else in the world, boats, cars, houses, whatever, everybody has this common knowledge, right? Everybody knows a Lamborghini costs a lot of money. Everybody knows a yacht costs a lot of money. In airplanes, it either costs $1 billion or $10,000.
$1 billion. Wow. Now you don't even know the price of planes.
No, I'm saying that's the thought process.
Oh, that other people.
But like, to be fair, back to my Yips story, I didn't know any aviation before then. I would have never thought twice about it.
But wouldn't you be more on the spectrum of saying, oh, airplanes are don't touch that, that's probably so expensive?
I do think I would have been on that side of the fence.
I guess a 182 just doesn't look as sexy as a Lamborghini.
It doesn't look expensive as other things, but they still do it in jets. I mean, you do a lot of awesome things with Girls in Aviation Day, and I see you teach these young kids and the parents how to get in the airplane and how to touch the yoke and everything, because they don't know.
Well, to be fair, at those, it's much easier because the girls are normally there without their parents. They're there with the troops, and they're under supervision of a troop leader. And it seems like they have been pre-briefed of like, hey, you don't touch anything here. And until like someone there tells you can, they come in with great manners. And they're a little cautious because they're not with their parents.
True.
But when it's just a regular air show and it's just this 6-year-old and their parents running through the air show, there's no rules.
To end that story, though, absolutely have the jets on display. Because like Mindy said, there's nothing cooler than a little hangar party with a little Gulfstream in the back.
Oh, a Gulfstream. That wasn't the $2,000 an hour.
What planes did we have at you had a party in Orlando? What were the planes in there? And you had Lambos too.
Yes, we had some Citations, we had a Vision Jet, we had Falcon, SRs, and we had, was it Lamborghinis?
Definitely. That was pretty cool.
I'm not a car gal.
That was pretty cool. Everybody appreciated that. We had a lot of, I don't even remember what the event was for, but it was awesome.
I was trying to sell airplanes.
You were trying to sell airplanes. But a lot of people came that were our friends and everything, and they really just same shock factor as me. Anytime I see a jet.
Well, we had boats there as well. So we called it Wings and Waves. One of my girlfriends at the time was selling boats and I was selling airplanes, and we both grew up together and lived in Orlando. So we're like, let's make this event where we put airplanes and boats on display, and we'll have it catered with food, and we'll have music and have just like a really cool cocktail hour hangar party. And we did that, and it was
and you got some sweet sports cars.
Very successful. Yeah, we brought the cars just for funsies, Wings, wheels, and waves. That's what they normally call it in the biz. But anywho, well, thank you guys for tuning in, as always, for submitting your stories, for having reviews, watching the social media. We can't do it without you guys. And we will see you guys next week.
See ya. Thanks for flying with Captain John Doe. If you have a story to share, visit CaptainJohnDoe.com and stay anonymous. New episodes every Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and tell your favorite crew members.